Meyer.
I'm Polly Reinscheld.
We're from the Project Management Office, and we're here today to talk to you about the end-to-end product lifecycle. Now, some of the things that we're going to talk about today are what exactly is the end-to-end lifecycle? Why did we create this? What are we asking of you? And some specific next steps we'd like you to take. So this past summer, about 36 people from the cross-functional groups here at school got together and we documented our end-to-end product lifecycle, associated roles and responsibilities, and dependencies. Now, Polly, why did we do such a thing?
So we realized as we look across our product lifecycle and delivering to customers in the market that we lacked standardization on the way our teams work together. We also had ambiguous roles and a lack of role clarity as we went through that lifecycle. And we also realized that perhaps we should focus more on the customer at certain phases.
So what does this mean to you? Well, we'd like you to review the roles and responsibilities for your functional area across the phases of the lifecycle and ask yourself a couple of questions. What is my key role in each phase? And what really changed for me in any of these phases? Then we'd like you to reach out to your manager and your lifecycle ambassador for any clarification you require. And of course, you can reach out to Polly, me, Heather Comfort, or your project manager at any time. This is a list of the lifecycle ambassadors that took part in that work. We're just going to flash it here, but this list will be available in the PowerPoint linked in the Spark post here.
Right, so what we built, this is an overview of the life cycle and how we define the phases. What we noticed here as we went through the process that go-to-market, for example, starts way earlier than we thought. Research also goes way into build longer than maybe we had thought. We also realized that technology development is an ongoing process in the background that enables the entire process as we go through. And we also realized we have some good processes already in place, for example, in Maintain for our product retirement process as well. So how do we build the framework? We asked our ambassadors to look with the lens of a new national product. This takes us the longest time, it's the most costly, but we did this with an idea that if we build out the longest path throughout the process, we could edit it down as we go forward for any project. So what we did was we brought in existing processes today, and we decomposed the work for each cycle phase. Then we aligned roles and responsibilities to each activity with a lens of a non-negotiable task, things we absolutely have to do to get a product to market. And then with the roles and responsibilities, we defined who's accountable, who's responsible, who's consulted, and who's informed. Then we took those tasks and defined inputs and outputs so we could create our dependency map. And then finally, we added estimates to those activities to get to an overarching schedule.
Now, some things that we learned while we did that work were that quality control needs to be embedded more formally in our project plans, especially in regard to academic integrity. We learned that prototyping takes significantly more time than we had anticipated. It actually has the longest duration of any development task that we identified. Obviously, we have an opportunity to improve on that, and we'll be reaching out to you to help us do so. We asked the work team to provide estimates of work per task, which we use to inform our timeline and the durations associated, but those need refined using actual product data moving forward. And we identified that change is a constant, and so we need governance to manage the lifecycle process. We'll be rolling out governance shortly after we roll this out. And one of the things that we noticed was a lot stayed the same, but there were some changes, right, Polly?
Right. So even though we realized that 80 to 90% of our work as we documented it is really how we work today, we did notice some key takeaways and changes that are of note. So for example, Market Calculator shifted from product marketing to product management, and that also includes pricing. And the reason why behind that is a good one because product management really owns the P&L for any product as we go to market. So the number of kids and teachers and then the price aligned to that is a big part of what makes up our P&L. We also realized we have a research framework in place already, so how we handle competitive analysis and product research with our marketing team. Also, we defined we have a user research work stream as well, led by our UX team, and in addition to academic research, so how kids and teachers interact from our learning strategy and research team. Another key thing is we realized the new product request form is an existing document today. It just needs broader utilization after we're in the implementation phase. So if we find that we need to add a new product in the market very quickly and rapidly, we can do so using this new product request form and fold it back into the life cycle to deliver quickly. We also realized we needed formal sign-offs, really more toward the front end of our life cycle, on key deliverables such as instructional model, our component array or component list, the core prototypes, so anything from scratch for our SEs or TEs, and then also our covers as well. And then finally, we realized all teams are critical to the product success and also play a huge role across the life cycle as well.
So back to the ask, what do we need from you? Well, we would like you to find yourself in the process. So download the PowerPoint link that you'll find linked in the Spark post here and look at the slides starting on slide number 12, where you'll see a slide that looks like this.
Right, so our ambassadors actually defined for each functional area one slide that is a key takeaway by phase for your functional area. So what are those key things that maybe changed or maybe stay the same, but how you play in the process is defined in this one slide.
So from there, of course, we would like you to talk to your manager and your lifecycle ambassador and reach out to me, Polly, Heather Comfort, or your project manager anytime. So thanks a lot for taking the time to listen today. We hope you have a great day. Polly?
Yeah, and remember, how we work together is just as important as what we produce. So we really appreciate your participation. Thanks.